The people making real money with AI aren't doing what you think. If you've been scrolling through YouTube lately, you've seen the thumbnails. They promise you can make $10,000 next week just by pressing a button on ChatGPT. But if you've actually tried those methods, you know the truth, they usually lead to a dead end. I know exactly how frustrating that feels. You watch the tutorials, you sign up for the free trials, but you're still stuck at $0. You start thinking maybe you're just not technical enough, or maybe you missed the boat. Here is the good news. You haven't missed anything. You just need a better roadmap. The honest truth is that AI isn't a magic money printer. It's a tool that amplifies value. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn that value into your first $1,000 online. I'm going to give you the beginner's guide I wish I had when I started. We are going to strip away the hype and focus on 3 specific, reliable ways to generate cash flow using AI in 2026. I will show you the exact tools you need. And no, you don't need to buy expensive software. I'll break down the realistic timelines so you know exactly how many hours this takes. And I'll show you the specific strategy to land your very first client, even if you have 0 followers and no portfolio right now. This isn't about getting rich overnight. This is about building a real income stream that puts an extra $2,000 to $5,000 in your pocket every single month. If you are ready to stop researching and actually start building, this is for you. Let's get to work. So, before we dive into the specific strategies, we need to address the elephant in the room. If AI is so powerful, why isn't everyone rich yet? You've probably felt this specific type of overwhelm. You open YouTube or Twitter, and it feels like there are 50 new game-changing tools released every single morning. One guru tells you to start a faceless YouTube channel. Another tells you to write Kindle books. A third one says you need to be building chatbots for dentists. It leads to what I call shiny object paralysis. You spend 3 hours watching videos about the opportunity and 0 hours actually doing the work. You end up with a browser full of bookmarks, a head full of ideas, but an empty bank account. Here is the honest truth that most tutorials won't tell you. The problem isn't that you lack the right tool. The problem is that most people are trying to sell AI instead of selling a solution. Let me explain, because this shift changes everything. Clients and customers do not care that you are using AI. In fact, most of them don't even want to know how the sausage is made. They don't care if you use ChatGPT, Gemini, or a magic wand. They only care about one thing. Can you solve their problem? If you go to a business owner and say, I can use AI to write blog posts, they will likely ignore you. They're busy. They don't have time to figure out what that means for them. But if you go to that same business owner and say, I can get your website to rank higher on Google so you get more customers, now they are listening. The fact that you use AI to do it faster and cheaper, that is your advantage, not your product. Most beginners fail because they fall in love with the technology. They spend weeks learning prompt engineering, but never actually ask anyone for money. I want you to flip that mindset right now. We are not going to be AI enthusiasts. We are going to be problem solvers who happen to use AI to work 10 times faster than everyone else. And here is the I can do this moment I want you to really let sink in. You do not need to be an expert coder. You don't need a degree in machine learning. You just need to be slightly better at using these tools than the person who is paying you. That's it. The strategies I'm about to show you work because they focus on value first. They take tasks that used to be expensive and slow, and they make them affordable and fast. That is where the money is. But a quick reality check before we start. This requires actual work. I'm going to show you the shortcuts, but you still have to walk the path. You have to set up the profiles, send the emails, and deliver the work. If you are looking for a button that prints money while you sleep, this isn't it. But if you are willing to put in a few focused hours a week, the income potential is very real. So let's stop researching and start building. I'm going to break down 3 specific models you can start today. The first one is the fastest way to get your first $500, and it requires 0 upfront cost. Let's look at how it works. We call this model AI Service Arbitrage. If you need cash flow immediately, I'm talking about seeing money in your account within the next 30 days, this is the only place to start. Here is the core concept, and it's simpler than you might think. In the traditional freelance world, you are trading your time for money. If a client pays you $100 to write a series of emails, and it takes you 5 hours to write them, you are making $20 an hour. That is a job. And honestly, it's a grind. I did that for years, and it leads to burnout fast. AI service arbitrage flips the math on its head. With the right AI tools, you can produce that same series of emails in about 30 minutes. You still charge the client $100 because the value to them hasn't changed. But now, your effective hourly rate has jumped from $20 to $200. You aren't being paid for your labor anymore. You are being paid for your efficiency. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that cheating? Won't the client know? This is the secret that separates the people making money from the people just talking about it. Clients pay for results, not effort. Think about it. If you hire a plumber to fix a leak, do you get mad if he fixes it in 10 minutes because he has a really advanced power tool? Of course not. You're happy the leak is gone. You are the plumber and AI is your power tool. But here is the catch, and this is where most beginners mess up. You cannot just copy-paste raw output from ChatGPT and send it to a client. That is how you get fired. The AI gets you 80% of the way there. It does the heavy lifting, the research, and the first draft. Your job, and this is the I can do this moment I want you to hold on to, is to handle the last 20%. You are no longer the writer, you are the editor-in-chief. You are the quality control. You add the human touch, check the facts, and make sure it sounds like a person. If you can read a document and spot a weird sentence, you are qualified to do this. You don't need to be a world-class creative genius. You just need to have good taste and the patience to guide the tool. This model works because it requires zero startup capital. You don't need to build a website. You don't need to run ads. You don't need to build an audience. You just need one free AI account and one platform to find people who need help. So we have the model, high-value work delivered at high speed with you as the quality controller. Now the obvious question is, okay, but what service do I actually offer? There are dozens of options, but most of them are saturated. I've tested a lot of them, and I've found 3 specific Goldilocks services that are high in demand right now, but still have low competition for AI-enabled freelancers. Let's break down the first one. This is exactly what I would do if I lost everything and had to make rent next week. The first service is what I call content repurposing, and it is hands down the lowest hanging fruit for beginners in 2026. Here is why this opportunity exists. Every single creator, business owner, and CEO knows they need to be posting on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. But they are exhausted. They might record a 20-minute YouTube video or a podcast episode, but they simply do not have the time to sit down and turn that video into a thread of tweets, a LinkedIn article, and an email newsletter. That is where you come in. You aren't creating content from scratch, which is the hardest part. You are taking content they have already created and just changing the format. Think about how much easier this is. You don't need to be an expert on their industry. You don't need to come up with brilliant ideas. The client has already done the thinking. You are just the translator. Here is the exact workflow. Step 1. You find a YouTuber or a podcaster in a niche you actually find interesting. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's finance, maybe it's gardening. You grab the transcript of their latest video. YouTube generates these for free. You can just click the Show Transcript button in the description. Step 2. You take that raw, messy transcript and you paste it into a tool like Claude or Gemini Pro. I recommend Claude for this because it has a more natural, human writing style than ChatGPT. These models are particularly good at handling large amounts of text without getting confused. Step 3, and this is the specific part, you don't just say, rewrite this, you give it a specific role. You say, you are an expert ghostwriter. Take this transcript and turn it into 3 distinct LinkedIn posts. Make them punchy, use short paragraphs, and focus on the practical takeaways. Do not sound like a robot. In about 30 seconds, you have 3 solid drafts. Now, remember the editor-in-chief rule? This is where you earn your money. You read through them, you fix the headlines to make them sound like a human wrote them. You remove those weird AI words like delve or tapestry or unlock. You make sure the tone matches the person in the video. This entire process takes maybe 20 minutes, but to the client, you just saved them 3 hours of agony. I know people charging $1,500 a month just to do this for 4 videos a month. That is $1,500 for maybe 5 hours of actual work once you get your system down. The best part about this service is how easy it is to sell. You don't need a cold email pitch promising the moon. You just do the work. Before you ask for the money, go to a channel with maybe 50,000 subscribers. They are big enough to have a budget, but small enough that they probably don't have a massive team yet. Take one of their videos, use AI to turn it into a great LinkedIn post, and email it to them. Subject line: I wrote this for you, free. Body: Hey, I loved your video on X. I know repurposing content is a pain, so I went ahead and turned that video into a LinkedIn post for you. Feel free to use it, no strings attached. If you want me to do this for all your videos, let me know. That is it. You aren't asking for a job, you are demonstrating value. If you send 5 of those a day, I guarantee you will have your first client within a week. But maybe you prefer something a bit more behind the scenes. That brings us to service number 2: local SEO content. This is the boring option, and I love boring businesses because they have real money and they don't play games. I'm talking about plumbers, roofers, dentists, and local real estate agents. These businesses rely on Google. When someone's pipe bursts, they search plumber near me. If that plumber's website has a blog full of helpful articles, Google trusts them more and they get that phone call. But ask yourself, do you think a busy plumber has time to write an article titled 5 Signs Your Water Heater is About to Explode? Absolutely not. They are under a sink somewhere fixing a leak. For years, these businesses had two choices: pay an expensive agency $500 an article, or just have a blank website. You are the third option. You can offer to write that article for $100. Here is the I can do this reality check. You don't need to know anything about water heaters. You go to ChatGPT, you ask it for an outline first. Give me a detailed outline for an article about water heater maintenance for homeowners. Once you have the outline, you write the article section by section. Don't ask it to write 1,000 words at once. It gets lazy. Ask it to write the introduction. Then ask it to write the first point. Then the second. This gives you control. Then, and this is crucial, you inject local flavor. If the client is in Austin, Texas, you mention hard water in Austin. You mention local weather. This is what makes it valuable SEO content and not just generic AI garbage. You can produce a high-quality 1,000-word article in 45 minutes using this method. If you charge $100 per article and you do just 5 of these a week, that is an extra $2,000 a month. And the selling point to the business owner is simple logic. You tell them, one new customer from Google pays for this entire batch of articles. Everything else is pure profit. It's an investment for them, not an expense. That is an easy sell. Now stay with me, because the third service is my personal favorite. It builds what we call recurring revenue. It is email sequence writing. This sounds technical, but it's actually very straightforward. Every time you sign up for a newsletter or buy a product online, you get a series of emails. Welcome to the family. Here is your discount. Here is our story. That is called a welcome sequence. It is the most profitable set of emails any business sends because it turns strangers into customers. But here is the secret. Most small businesses have terrible welcome sequences. They set them up 3 years ago and forgot about them. Or worse, they don't have one at all. You can fix this in an afternoon. The workflow here is slightly different because you need to capture the voice of the brand. You can't sound like a generic robot. You need to sound like the business owner. Here is exactly how you do that. Step 1, you go to the client's website. You copy their About Us page and some of their product descriptions. Step 2, you paste that into the AI and say, analyze this writing style. Describe the tone, the vocabulary, and the emotional appeal. The AI will tell you, this brand is playful, uses slang, and targets young moms. Perfect. Now you have the instructions. Step 3, you instruct the AI. Using that playful tone, write a 3-day welcome email sequence for new subscribers. Email 1, welcome and story. Email 2, a helpful tip. Email 3, a soft pitch for the best-selling product. The AI does 90% of the structural work. You go in and make sure the jokes land. You make sure the links are in the right place. You can charge $300 to $500 for a 3-email sequence. It takes you maybe 2 hours. Why would a business pay that? Because once you set it up, that sequence runs automatically forever. It makes them money while they sleep. If your emails help them sell just 10 extra products a month, you have paid for yourself instantly. So those are the 3 paths: content repurposing, local SEO, and email sequences. Now, I can feel some of you hesitating. You're thinking, okay, the work makes sense, but I'm terrified of actually selling this. I'm an introvert. I don't know how to talk to clients. I want to reframe this for you immediately. You do not need to be a salesperson. You do not need to get on Zoom calls and charm people. In fact, for these types of services, most clients prefer not to talk to you. They just want the work done. To get your first client, we are going to use the low friction method. Forget cold calling, forget networking events. We are going to go where the buyers already are. I want you to open Upwork or Fiverr, but, and this is where most people fail, do not just create a generic profile that says, I do AI writing. If you search AI writer on Upwork, you will see 10,000 people competing for the lowest price. It is a race to the bottom. We don't play that game. Instead, you are going to position yourself as a Chan specialist. Your profile shouldn't say, I can write anything. It should say, I turn YouTube videos into LinkedIn content for coaches. Or SEO blog writing for local home service businesses. Do you see the difference? When a business owner searches for help, they aren't looking for a generalist. They want someone who understands their specific problem. By narrowing your focus, you instantly eliminate 99% of your competition. You become the expert in a room of one. And here is the part I wish someone had told me earlier. You don't need a massive portfolio to prove you can do this. Here is your homework for today. I want you to pick one dose of these 3 services. Just one. Don't try to do all of them. If you like watching YouTube, pick repurposing. If you like structure and research, pick SEO. If you like psychology and persuasion, pick email. Spend 1 hour tonight creating a portfolio of one. If you picked SEO, write one article about how to unclog a sink, make it perfect, put it in a Google Doc. That is your portfolio. If you picked repurposing, take a video from a creator you admire and turn it into 3 posts, put them in a Google Doc. That is your portfolio. Now, when you pitch a client, you aren't saying, I think I can do this. You are saying, here is exactly what I can do. Look at this. Confidence comes from evidence. The AI gives you the ability to create that evidence before you ever ask for $1. This removes the fear because you aren't promising something you hope you can do. You have already done it. Once you land that first client, whether it's for $50 or $500, everything changes. The money is real, the validation is real. And suddenly, you realize that the only thing stopping you from making $5,000 a month is just doing this same process over and over again. We have covered a lot of ground today, but I want to leave you with one final thought. Remember that feeling of overwhelm we talked about at the start? That shiny object paralysis, where you feel like you're constantly falling behind? The only cure for that is action. You can watch 100 more tutorials. You can download every cheat sheet on the internet. But none of that will put a single dollar in your bank account until you pick a lane and start driving. The strategies we broke down today, content repurposing, local SEO, and email sequences, they aren't just theories. Real people are using these exact methods to quit their 9-to-5 jobs right now. The only difference between them and you is that they stopped researching and started building. So here is my challenge to you. Do not click on the next video. Do not go down another rabbit hole. Instead, I want you to pick just one of the services we discussed. Just one. Open a blank Google Doc right now. Spend the next 30 minutes creating that portfolio of one we talked about. Write that sample article. Repurpose that one video. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. I know it feels safer to keep learning. It feels scary to actually put yourself out there. But remember, you don't need to be an expert to start. You just need to be helpful. The AI gives you the leverage, but your initiative is what creates the income. 6 months from now, you could be making an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month. You could have that freedom you've been looking for, or you could be in the exact same place watching another video about how to make money. The choice is yours. If this video helped you see a clear path forward, if you appreciate honest strategies without the fake hype, then hit that subscribe button. We are building this channel for people who want to do the real work. Let me know in the comments which service you are picking. I'll be down there answering questions to help you get started. You have the tools, you have the map, now go get the result. I'll see you in the next one.